3 days after David was buried, the entire Eze family gathered inside the large living room of the family mansion. The atmosphere was tense. Grief still hung heavily in the air, but something darker was already beginning to grow. Suspicion, resentment, and greed. Amara sat quietly in a black dress at the far end of the room, her face pale from days of crying. Losing David felt like losing the only person who had ever truly seen her. But as she looked around the room, she could feel it. The cold stares, the silent accusations. David's mother, Madame Beatrice, sat upright like a queen on the largest couch, her face stiff with bitterness. Next to her was Vanessa, David's older sister, scrolling through her phone impatiently. Across the room stood Michael, David's younger brother, leaning against the wall with folded arms. None of them looked at Amara with sympathy. Only hostility. Finally, the family lawyer, an elderly man named Mr. Adaimi, cleared his throat. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said gently, opening a thick folder. "We are here to read the final will and testament of the late Mr. David Eze." The room went completely silent. Everyone leaned forward. Everyone except Amara. She wasn't thinking about money. She was still thinking about the last morning she saw David alive. He had kissed her forehead before leaving for work. "I'll be home early today," he had promised. But he never came back. Mr. Adaimi began reading. "As stated in this will, Mr. David Eze has distributed his assets and properties according to his final wishes." Vanessa rolled her eyes. "Just get to the point," she muttered. The lawyer ignored her. "To his beloved mother, Madame Beatrice Eze, Mr. David Eze leaves the property located in Lekki Phase 1, including the house and surrounding land." Madame Beatrice nodded slowly. That house was large and luxurious. But it was nothing compared to David's total wealth. The lawyer continued. "To his sister, Miss Vanessa Eze, he leaves the sum of 100 million naira." Vanessa raised her eyebrows. "Only that?" she whispered. Michael smirked slightly. Then the lawyer turned the page. "To his brother, Mr. Michael Eze, he leaves the apartment complex located in Victoria Island." Michael straightened his posture, satisfied. But the biggest surprise was still coming. Mr. Adaimi paused before continuing. "And finally, to his wife, Mrs. Amara Eze." Everyone in the room turned toward her. "Mr. David Eze leaves the remainder of his estate." Silence. The lawyer continued reading. "This includes his companies, business investments, stock shares, private properties, vehicles, and international accounts." The silence exploded. Vanessa jumped to her feet. "What?" Michael pushed himself off the wall. Madame Beatrice's face turned pale with rage. The lawyer calmly finished the sentence. "In summary, Mrs. Amara Eze inherits the majority of Mr. David Eze's wealth." The room erupted like a volcano. "You planned this!" Vanessa screamed, pointing at Amara. Michael slammed his fist on the table. "This is impossible." Madame Beatrice stood slowly, her eyes burning with hatred. "You killed my son." The words hit the room like a thunderbolt. Amara looked up in shock. "What? You heard me," the older woman snapped. "You killed him for his money." Amara stood up slowly. "I loved your son." Vanessa laughed cruelly. "Please. Everyone knows girls like you marry rich men for money." Michael stepped closer, his voice cold. "You came from the ghetto. Suddenly you become a billionaire's wife. Now he dies and you inherit everything." He shook his head. "You think we're stupid." Amara felt something painful twist inside her chest. For 2 years she had tried so hard to earn their respect. She changed. She learned. She endured their insults quietly. But none of it mattered. To them, she would always be nothing but a street girl. Days passed.
"You killed him?"
But the accusations didn't stop. In fact, they became worse. Vanessa started spreading rumors in social circles. David's wife poisoned him. Michael contacted lawyers trying to challenge the will. Madame Beatrice publicly blamed Amara during family gatherings. The once peaceful mansion became a battlefield. Every day brought new insults, new accusations, new attempts to break her. At first, Amara stayed quiet. She told herself it was just grief speaking. That eventually they would calm down. But they didn't. One evening, she returned home to find the gate locked. The security guard looked nervous. Madam Vanessa said, "You're not allowed inside." Amara stared at him. "This is my house." He lowered his eyes. "I'm sorry, madam." Inside the house, Vanessa and Michael were waiting. Vanessa folded her arms smugly. "You don't belong here." Amara took a deep breath. "Move." Michael laughed. "Or what?" Amara walked past them without another word. But inside her chest, something was slowly beginning to wake up. Something she had buried long ago. The ghetto. The part of her that never tolerated disrespect. The part that fought back. But she still held it down. For David. For the peace he would have wanted. Unfortunately for the Eze family, they didn't know how close they were to waking the storm. Because one day soon, they would push her too far. And when that happened, the quiet widow they thought they knew would disappear forever. Stay tuned for part 3. And please like, share and subscribe to my channel for more mind-blowing stories.